Beep, 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 beep. Hello, how we doing? Oh, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood for a number of reasons. Because today, after you bought me a coffee, become a warrior teacher, or subscribe to my Substack, we're going to talk about the arts. Or as I call them, the farts most of the time these days. But the arts, okay? Some good news, right? Some good news. One of my warrior teachers is an artist, okay? In terms of being an artist, she works with materials, okay? So all sorts of stuff, makes all sorts of stuff. It's great. When I get to see her, because she's not here, she's on the other side of the world, right? When I get to see her, she's sat amongst piles of different materials, sewing, and making things. And she's had a terrible time of it because she got kicked out of an art collective and they've treated her with the most appalling disdain. And even though that's happened, and even though that she's got problems of her own, and you are, right? She still stood up at an event and spoke eloquently, even though I knew she was terrified. I knew it. But she did it, she spoke. And she's an inspiration to all of us, right? So the good news is, she's now part of a new art exhibition that's coming up and will be displaying her work, which I think is fantastic. Now, if she sees this and she wants to tell everybody who she is, you can share it. My little jewel, right? You can share it and then you can tell people who you are and they can follow you. But I'm not going to do that without your permission. And because we're at opposite ends of the world, I have to wait up all night to ask for it. And I've not got time. Anyway, that's just enough waffle. But I want to tell you that because that's just, good news that sometimes when you do the right thing, better things follow for you. Isn't that funny? You do the right thing that might cause you great loss and you end up with better things. I feel that I've done the right thing by giving up everything else that I ever did. Well, I was forced to do that mostly. By giving everything else up and doing this, I feel I did the right thing. I'm hoping good things are going to come from it. And many good things have. New people I know, doing this for you guys. So I'm really pleased for my warrior teacher, who is now going to have her work exhibited in an exhibition about women and gender critical. It's fantastic, fantastic news. So we've got a similar story that came out from the ever reliable Ewan Somerville over at the Telegraph. So links are in the doobers as usual. This is a win. It's a win. And it's called Top Art School Forced to Apologise for Cancelling Feminist Artist. Right, yeah. Now, UAL and Craft Potters Association agreed to settle employment tribunal claims with gender-critical ceramicist Claudia Clare. Lots of C's in that sentence. Britain's top art school has been forced to pay thousands of pounds to a gender-critical charity and apologise after a feminist artist was cancelled. Now, Claudia Clare, 61, I don't know why they put that. Claudia Clare, 61, does it matter, Claudia? Had been booked for 2 years to display her ceramics project. There's a great picture at the top of the article of what I presume is Claudia. Rather like my warrior teacher surrounded by clothing, Claudia is in a room surrounded by pots and ceramics. I envy people that can do art. I do really. It's just so wonderful. Mind you saying that, I had a picture exhibited at the National Exhibition of Children's Art when I was a child. God, I'd forgotten all about that. So at some point I was a good artist. Funny that, isn't it? What happened? Oh, God, yeah, I had to live as a gay child. That's what happened. Ruined everything. Yep. Once I got to secondary school, they knew what I was before I knew. At least the beatings told me that. Anyway, let's not do the present stuff, because I'm in a good mood today. So, Claudia had been booked, as I said previously, for 2 years to display her ceramics about women escaping the sex trade. So that's she's telling the story of women escaping the sex trade, and she's doing so through her art, which is what art's supposed to do, is to edify, and for our enjoyment. It was meant to be in April last year at Ceramic Art London, the UK's staple ceramics show. So that's like when all the ceramics get together, people who work in the field get together. The event was organised by the Craft Potters Association, the CPA. It's amazing, isn't it? The corners of our society that this stuff touches, infects, and causes to make huge mistakes. But here's another example. An organisation with a very specific function has been completely captured by critical social justice, queer theory, the usual crowd, yeah? So the event was organised by the Craft Potters Association alongside Central St Martin's, which is a college, 170-year-old college, at the University of the Arts, London, which counts the fashion designer Alexander McQueen amongst its alumni. So this is not some, small shed somewhere. This is This is serious. But weeks beforehand, Miss Clare was told by the CPA's director, Toby Brundin, that her talk was no longer welcome because of the risk of protest that might put the show itself under threat, prompting her to launch legal action. They really do give in to these people. You're not going to be able to anymore. You can't give in to them. Now, both UAL and the CPA have agreed to settle her employment tribunal claim and apologise for the row with no admission of liability. That's standard stuff, right? As part of the settlement, binded by ACAS this week, that's the conciliation service here in the UK, that's where, so the first thing you go to is go to ACAS. Can we talk it out? All right, that's the first thing. Can we find some way of putting this right before it gets to the court? It prevents the employment tribunals and things from getting clogged up. So obviously this took place in the correct way. They went to ACAS and it was binded by ACAS this week as part of the settlement, which is ACAS's role. Both organisations have agreed to donate £10,000 to Women at the Well. Women at being the at sign the Well, a sex-based rights charity that supports women affected by prostitution and runs a drop-in centre. The college is donating £6,500 and paying Claudia's legal fees, and the trade body is giving £3,500. It's been hailed as a landmark case for a trade body designed to defend an artist's rights and a university with a statutory duty to protect free speech. I am thrilled. Actions speak far louder than words, Miss Clare told the Telegraph. We now know that my lecture was indeed cancelled because of my gender-critical opinions, but the loss was to Women at the Well, which believes in women-only spaces defined by sex, and the voices of women in prostitution. Again, remember, the ceramic work here done by Clare is exposing people who've escaped from the sex industry. They closed ranks and refused to speak, but we now know there was no suggestion of protest at all. It was a complete fiction and based entirely on the fear of the organiser at UAL, fear of their own students. Mau, 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 mau. Tribunal documents have now revealed what led to her invite being rescinded. Duncan Hewson, a course leader at CSM, was dealing with a row between ceramic students in his department who had complained about an artwork by Sarah Beresford, a fellow student who holds gender-critical views that sex is binary and immutable. In an attempt to resolve it, Mr. Hewson had told Mr. Brundin that he had covered up the artwork in the studio when it was not being actively worked on to avoid further offence. Why? Right, colleges and universities need to stop screwing about with these people. If they do this, give them their money back and send them home. Right, that's what needs to happen. We need to send these people to Coventry en masse. So I'm out having a drink and somebody starts at the table, somebody I don't know, who's been brought along by somebody else, and I will say it. Will you please leave? I want you to leave this table because your belief system is absolutely insane and dangerous. I'm not talking to him anymore. The era of no debate is over. It is. But look, the debate's got us nowhere. You don't debate ideologues. You destroy them. They are your enemy. Ugh. I'm sorry. I get frustrated, folks. I get frustrated. Covering up the artwork in the studio. Jesus, on bike. The college had also recently experienced a sit-in protest and was worried about a breach of its gender policy or a breach of the pickets against Professor Kathleen Stock. Chief among Mr. Houston's concerns, a statement from Mr. Brundin said, was that students could unfurl banners from the first floor during the ceramics show. Miss Clare said, it's a fashion college. Of course they hang banners from the balconies. As we see with Kathleen Stock, the problem isn't usually just the students, it's nearly always the lecturers who are instrumental. Fire them! The rescinded invite sparked uproar last year with some 60 ceramic artists, potters and curators backing Clare in an open letter. John Heath, a partner at Levin's solicitors, I'm presuming with a representation there, yes, here is the representative, Miss Clare, said, if they, meaning the CPA and the UAL, can't be relied upon to respect Clare's protected beliefs, then rhetorically, who can? It is not good enough for organisations to simply fold in the face of rumours of disruption by activists. They have to strike a proper balance between the free speech rights of guest speakers and protesters. Both organisations were contacted for comment. In its written apology, UL said, we acknowledge the upset caused by the university's actions or perceived actions to the extent that they impacted upon the CPA's cancellation and upholds its commitment to free speech. It's the usual wheedling language. Adding that its commercial venue hire agreement did not involve decisions on invitations. In its own apology, the CPA said, we are sorry for any upset caused by withdrawing your invitation, blah, 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 blah. Well done, Clare! And the folk over at Levin's solicitor. The only thing that I will say is this, is that the universities have to get better at saying, we don't want you on our premises. Go. Just go, please. Thank you very much. Goodbye. That's what they need to do, and they need to start firing staff. Take the hit. Sack them, take the hit, or expel them, take the hit. Let them take you to court. So what? You're going to crumble anyway. If they get any, you've lost. If they're in there, if they're in your organisation, you're done. So you've got nothing to lose by kicking them out. Kick them out, take the hit, let them take you to court. Fuck them. Take them to court. Pay for nothing. As I always say. Right? The only thing that I will say is the settlement. Now, obviously, Claire came to an agreement with ACAS and the two bodies that were involved that was comfortable for Claire, and I respect that, of course. But when I want to see these tribunals when they won, I want to see that 10,000 with an extra naught on the end. It's time this stung. Big time. Big time. The fine should be enough to close them down. That's my thinking. And certainly the awards that people get for this should be much higher, £10,000. Now, I understand. Claire obviously agreed that with ACAS, which is fine. But I see some of these payments and I think it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. A mate of mine who took up somebody to a tribunal, right, because they discriminated against him because he was a gay man, got £7,000. No, that should be 70. It's time we grew up when it comes to compensation. That's what I think. You tell me what you think. In the Dooberies, as usual. It's great to talk to you. I'll see you later. Go have a good day.